SpaceX's genius new stage separation system. One of the most powerful spacecrafts ever built is the SpaceX Starship. With the Super Heavy booster and the Starship spacecraft stacked together, people have gotten to see its full height. However, the Starship will not remain like this during the flight. At some point, the separation stages will have to come apart. Elon Musk made it so that the parts do not separate like on other spacecrafts. He eliminated all the complicated designs that the other rockets use. In fact, he made sure that the separation of the stages was so simple that it is just amazing and mind-blowing. As revolutionary as it may sound, SpaceX has managed to skip the separation mechanism. But before we dive in deeper on how the separation mechanism exactly works, we need to understand the general design of the Starship. The gigantic Starship is made up of two stages, the lower stage and the upper stage. The lower stage, also known as the rocket or the Super Heavy, is the part that helps the Starship escape the Earth's gravitational pull. At 70 meters high, it overlooks everything beside it. It generates the required power for liftoff force using more than 30 sea-level Raptor engines. SpaceX has managed to build the rocket in such a way that it is reusable. So after completing its launch and separating from the upper part, it will return to Earth and land to prepare for the next mission launch. This is made possible with the help of its 4 grid fins. The upper part, also called the spacefaring part, is the ship. This is another impressive structure. Even though it is 20 meters shorter than the rocket, it is heavier than the lower stage at the moment of separation. This is something that will help make a big difference. For propulsion and landing, the upper stage uses 6 Raptor engines, a mixture of the sea-level and vacuum types. It is designed to fly in space and eventually return to Earth. And just like the lower stage, it is completely reusable. Musk's version of a permanent human presence on Mars is still there. His plan for the Starship is to use it to colonize people on Mars. This will definitely involve a lot of trips as they have to move tons of cargo for life support systems ahead of the people. In addition to all this, NASA wants to lower its astronauts to the surface of the Moon using the Starship. This is a project of theirs called Artemis. Though the agency will be sending astronauts before sending out regular people to Mars, the agency also plans to go there using the spaceship at some point. The only way these interplanetary trips will be successful is if the ship separates from the Super Heavy booster. In accordance with the laws of physics, every rocket that delivers a payload into space ends up discharging the lower stage. To explain further, the dead weight of the empty fuel tank of the rocket will only hold the spacecraft back. Due to this, it has to be discarded. The Starship is not any different. But looking at it standing so tall on its mound and looking solidly and seamlessly attached, one may wonder how, when at times come, will the stages come apart? How will SpaceX achieve this? Most rocket engineers create a more complicated and risky separation mechanism. But for SpaceX, it is all different, as it unbelievably skips designing a whole separation mechanism. For all other rockets, they all use some form of actuated latches or frangible bolts to hold the two stages together or to separate them. Russian rockets use what is called hot staging during the separation of the stages. This involves the upper stage igniting its engines slightly before or at the same time the coupling mechanism is opened. The lower stage below them is blasted downwards by the ignited engines. In other rockets, before the upper stage rockets fire off or the upper stage goes off to space using smaller vernier thrusters, the upper stage is separated from the lower stage for a significant distance. This separation stage is a very complex process and it is a source of additional risk for the mission launched. As the number of stages increases, so does the number of separations required. This makes it even more riskier and the chances of something going wrong increase. However, SpaceX is planning to use an even simpler separation process in the Starship, hence eliminating the risk altogether. Elon Musk is never afraid to share engineering details about his spaceships. He revealed a very remarkable detail about SpaceX's separation process and stated that SpaceX will not be adding anything new to either the upper or lower stages in order to achieve separation. The spaceship will kickstart the separation process by using the gimballing Raptor engines on the Super Heavy to rotate itself. During this process, the spaceship will introduce angular momentum movements before the main engine is cut off. As this happens, the latches between the ship and the Super Heavy will be open so that the two stages will drift apart. Due to the spinning motion between the ship and the Super Heavy, the ship will be floating away in a straight and stable line. This will be made possible by the fact that the ship is 5 times heavier than the booster at this point. At this point, the 6 Raptor engines fired up after hot gas thrusters have been used to settle the propellant. Once the whole separation process is complete, the liberated ship will commence on its journey as the Super Heavy begins its flipping maneuver as it prepares to return to Earth. This is the same process that SpaceX uses to launch all of its satellites with its Falcon rocket. It spins the upper stage and lets the spacecraft float away. This unique and unusual method eliminates the need to send resources designing and developing a safer pusher string mechanism that can push off the 1,300-ton spacecraft from the Super Heavy. SpaceX created the Starship with another unique design that helps it achieve this separation process. All the 6 Raptor engines are completely covered by a skirt. This skirt protects the nozzles from being damaged due to the impact from the boosters during the separation. The engineers at SpaceX are very clever for trying to avoid as many complications in the design as possible. If anything is too intensive, then they do away with it. For example, when the grid fins on the Super Heavy were revealed and their function described, many people might have wondered how the heavy components would be deployed and retracted. All this while maintaining enough strength to push and drag a rocket weighing several hundred tons. SpaceX agreed to let the fins be deployed all the time, instead of having to design a complicated deployment and retraction system that will control the car-sized grid fins that weigh tons. Even though they were planning to use the fins to catch the booster in mid-air with the arms of the launching tower, they changed their plans on this. Now, they will add some sort of arms pins on the sides around the height of the fins that will be used to try to catch the booster as it lands using the arms from the launching tower. Elon Musk follows a certain principle to achieve maximum success in any of his projects. It has 5 steps, and they are as follows. Step 1. Break down the project into requirements and make the requirements less dumb. He then attaches the requirements to a person, not a department. This way, he ensures that that person is held responsible for achieving the set requirements. Step 2. Delete a part or process or cut out what could be done without. If a process or design is too complicated and it is not really necessary, then they get rid of it. Step 3. Simplifies or optimize after completing Step 2. Step 4. Accelerate the cycle time. If the progress is slow, then move faster, but only if the other 3 things have been done first. Step 5. Automate the process. If you have been seeing Musk as authoritative, then all of this is about to change. Another SpaceX employee pitched the whole separation technique to Musk. The employee came up with the whole idea and was able to convince Musk to use the method. It is clear that ideas flow both upwards and downwards at SpaceX. We are getting closer to seeing the complete separation process in action. There were rumours that Elon Musk will be testing the Super Heavy booster alone. However, Elon Musk surprised everyone when he said that there will be no independent booster test flights. Instead, its first launch will be the orbital flight. As SpaceX rushes to get the spacecraft ready, they plan to conduct the first test flights by the end of this year or in the first half of 2022. What do you think about this unique separation system? Do you think that SpaceX will be able to achieve this? Let us know in the comments section below. Remember to leave a like, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell to receive notifications on new videos. Until next time, bye.